Hello and welcome to the WhyKnox podcast brought to you by Visit Knoxville. My name is Jody Collins of Feral Giant and I'll be your host on this journey. What we'll be doing is interviewing different folks around Knoxville that make Knoxville the great place it is to live. We'll have staples that you see around town all the time, but we'll also have some lesser known folks, people behind the scenes that make this a great city. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to share the podcast on social media, be sure to tag us at Visit Knoxville and use the hashtag WhyKnox. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
I am Megan Waugh. I am the Associate Director of Social Media for the Home Office of the Alzheimer's Association.
And I am Brent Waugh, and I am the Chief Executive Officer for Big Brothers Big Sisters of East Tennessee.
There you go. Where are you all originally from?
We are originally from Knoxville. I grew up in Powell.
Okay.
And I grew up in West Knoxville in the Bearden area.
Okay, so you went to Powell and you went to Bearden.
Right.
And you grew up there the whole time?
Well, when I was in elementary school, I went to Norwood for a little while.
Okay.
And then I went to Powell, I think in second grade. And then was there all through high school.
Yeah, we led a pretty Knoxville childhood, and then we elected to move around the country together when we were adults.
So where was the first place that you all moved to?
I moved without Megan first to Middle Tennessee to Cookeville, and then to South Georgia to Statesboro, Georgia, just outside Savannah.
Okay.
It was kind of fun, actually. And then we moved together to Fort Collins, Colorado, and then we moved to Chicago, Illinois, and then we completed the around the country circle and moved back to Knoxville.
So what brought you back here?
I think, every time we would come home from being out of state, we were like, oh, there's so many new things that are here. That wasn't here before. That wasn't here. We just kind of felt like Knoxville was in a place where could be really excited to live here again. Any other reasons for it?
It's a big win that our family's here, and they offer free babysitting services if we have a kid one day. And then I personally love the trails. I love what has happened with the urban wilderness. I'm really excited about that, and I've really enjoyed getting out there. And I think we've both made it a goal to get in the Smokies more, to take advantage of all the natural opportunities that we have in the area. And even if it's just a quick hike in the urban wilderness, we try to get outdoors a lot, and I think that was a big selling point. I also think that Knoxville's done a really great job with becoming more bicycle friendly, with encouraging people to take different kinds of trips, whether via foot or via bike or via public transportation. And we saw those changes happen while we were gone, so it's been great to move back to that.
And even further, the rentable bikes that are happening.
Yeah, I've been really excited about that. I don't know if they had those in Fort Collins, but they had a really big program in Chicago, which when we had people in town, we would definitely take advantage of. We have our own bikes, but for quick commutes to meetings, it'll be great for me. And I think we're just excited I think that just kind of continues the trajectory that Knoxville's going in, and it makes perfect sense for it to happen here.
I think also, for me, the arts and culture scene here is pretty awesome. Like how Knoxville is kind of this maker city now that it didn't used to be. I've always been involved in...
Where it's always been, but maybe not. It didn't embrace as much.
Exactly. And, it's always been a good music city, but I kind of like the new maker community and the theater scene with more local theater.
And the music scene is, changed altogether. And there's so many new venues for music. So many different types of venues for music, whether you're standing, whether you're seated, whether it's a big venue, whether it's a small one. I think we both get really excited about that. And there's a lot of different types of music. So Meg is definitely more of a jazz person. I'm more of an Americana bluegrass person. I think we've found a niche for both of those. We've got a jazz concert coming up in a week. So Meg gets her jazz fix on.
And the Women in Jazz Festival that's been started up by Kelly Jolly.
Did not know about that, but apparently
improvisations every night at 6:30.
Todd Steen.
With Todd Steen.
Hopefully future guest on this podcast. Okay, so what did your parents do for a living?
My mom worked for the New Sentinel for years, and my dad worked for Premier Building Maintenance, which is local here to Knoxville. And before that, he was with Service Solutions.
Okay.
And then my parents have, I would say, very East Tennessee jobs. So my mom worked for the Knoxville Utilities Board for probably 35 years.
Oh, wow.
And then my dad has worked for, I think, over 40 years for, I think it's Arconic now, but for Alcoa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am sitting here looking at a little puppy. Do you ever get to any of the dog parks around town?
So Theo, our 11-year-old silky terrier, while
He's a weirdo.
he is a weirdo, and while he loves other dogs, like he loves to be around other dogs, he's more of a one-on-one type guy.
Yeah.
And I will also say that when we have taken him to dog parks in the past, like in Chicago, they had a Wiggly-filled dog park.
Okay.
It's a pun, like
Wiggly.
Wrigley Field. Yeah, we loved it just for the name.
Okay.
And but he would, we'd put him down and he'd just kind of follow us around the whole time. And he just kind of wanted to, he only cares about really what we're doing and where we're going. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, but I do think that brings up a good point, which is something that I think happened when we were gone, which is Knoxville really focused on becoming a more pet-friendly city. I think that while our dog is a little bit of an odd one, we do appreciate the fact that Knoxville's made strides in that way, with more pet parks, with more dog parks, even just downtown and the patio situation where you can, have them in different situations, maybe sitting just outside the patio. That didn't used to be the case, at least from what I can remember. And so again, it goes to that narrative of Knoxville sort of embracing what it is. I think that Knoxville has made a lot of great strides, and I think that the pet-friendly status shows in a lot of ways the influence of a company like Radio Systems Pet Safe being in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Having their home base here.
Right.
Really making the community a forefront here in Knoxville.
Definitely.
All right. So we touched on music and culture. What about food?
Ooh.
Because I know those cities are big food cultures, but...
Well, we love to go out to eat.
Too much.
Yeah, and we've actually tried to cook more. So first, a shameless plug. Well, not really shameless, but we love the farmers market, and so we've tried to utilize it more. We've lived in a lot of different places. Shout out to our farmers market. I can say, from the cities we visited and the cities we've lived in, to me, and I am biased, our farmers market is the best. I love the food trucks. I love the actual food there. I love the organization. I love the winter market. We love the summer market. So we have been trying to cook at home more, but we love going out to eat.
And one other plug for listeners out there, we are vegetarian, so we are a little more limited in what we're going to talk about.
But we still appreciate good food.
Definitely. I mean, and especially places that, have these more creative and more options for us.
So we talk about food a lot, and we go eat a lot. So first, I would say, for me, most underrated or Knoxville-centric place to eat, I think, would be the Bistro by the Bijou.
That's got to be our favorite.
We take, every time we have a guest to town, we bring them there. I think that they offer a good selection. They have great vegetarian options, which is wonderful for us. We love that place.
And it's haunted, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. We love some of the traditional favorites downtown as well. I mean, we were both huge Tomato Head fans, and I think that the fact that we're vegetarians helps that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options for us. We are big fans of Adopo.
Oh man, Adopo.
Yeah. And then I know there's some other pizza places we need to try as well, but we go out to eat all the time. The other thing I'd say, we love breakfast food, baked goods, brunch, that kind of thing. And so
Wild Love.
Yeah,
oh,
Wild
man.
Love. We love Wild Love. I probably would go there every day if Meg would let me, but she's been reining me in a little bit. So what did I miss in terms of food?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like you kind of went through our greatest hits.
I mean,
those are the places that we tend to show up to each week.
I mean, so I appreciate having lived in Chicago, there are very good donut shops. And so I was immediately when I got here, I was on a quest for a good donut, and I can say I've tried many donuts in the area, have found many good options. This is, many good donut shops in the region, but I love Status Dough. They are a little far from us. We live closer to downtown, so fingers crossed that at least one day. I've been trying to get them to come to this area, but I don't mind to drive to Bearden Hill because to me it's my favorite donut. You love the just kind of regular honey glazed, right?
Yeah, and just going in there, getting a nice, just original like honey glazed donut with a cup of Intelligentsia coffee, one of my favorite.
We got to give a shout out.
Roasters.
So if we're going on coffee though, we got to really go for the local roaster. So you love
Three Bears.
Yeah. So we're also big Three Bears fans. We do try to. I think that's the thing we'd say. We try to go to local companies as much as possible. Meg loves Three Bears coffee.
It's what we drink at home every day.
So we're excited. I think that the food. I mean, the other thing that we could talk about too is just the beer scene in Knoxville. We have so many good selections. Now we lived in Fort Collins, where there's a lot of beer, and so coming back to Knoxville, one thing we've loved is how many craft brewers there are. We are biased towards some, but Crafty is just up the street from us.
Right.
And so Crafty has been a really great place to go. A small brewer, but so consistent. I love IPAs, and they have some just stellar IPAs.
I do like how Crafty too. They're not afraid to experiment a little bit, so you can always find some really interesting beers there. And I am very partial to sours, and they always have a good sour on draft. So I really appreciate that.
But then there's so many other places just close to downtown. I mean, Last Days of Autumn. You've got Schultzbräu with a really great beer garden. Elkmont, which is also across the street from us. Pretentious is now brewing, and you can drink out of those. I love their glasses, and they're tailored for an IPA, which I love. So just so many good, and I know I've forgotten some.
Alliance is big.
Alliance is another one we go to. Maybe go for a trail run and then grab a beer at Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So
then you have Hexagon a little bit further north.
Yeah, just so many good options, and for us, I think one of the most amazing things for us about coming back to Knoxville has been we as people have picked up so many loves for certain kinds of music, for certain kinds of food, for beer, and then for trail running. And we come back, and it's like Knoxville can really check off all those boxes, which the city that we grew up in maybe couldn't as much. And so it's been really great to be back.
The older city from back in the day was a little bit more separated, where you didn't have as much going on in so many different pockets.
Right.
Yeah. So you both work in the nonprofit world. How is that being in East Tennessee?
Well, mine's a little bit of a unique experience just because I still work for the national office of the Alzheimer's Association, which is based in Chicago. So, I do work on a central time zone, and I work from home now, so it's definitely a remote situation. But I am involved with other nonprofits in the area. Like I'm involved with our local Alzheimer's Association chapter as on their Walk to End Alzheimer's committee. I'm involved with River and Rail Theater Company. I help them with promoting their shows. So check them out, everyone, if you've never heard of them. But yeah, as far as I think Knoxville's pretty a supportive community in general, and I feel like the nonprofit community here is really tight, and they tend to lift each other up. I definitely see that with the theater programs. And there's a lot of big, good-hearted people here in Knoxville. But Brent, I think you can speak to Knoxville more for the nonprofit scene.
Well, yeah. So much of my previous experience is at universities, and so coming back to Knoxville and working at Big Brothers Big Sisters has been a great experience. I think that the thing that I've noticed about Knoxville, and sort of comparing it to places we've lived before, it's a very connected community, and I do think, to tag on to what Meg said, it is one that lifts nonprofits and charitable organizations up, which is good. There's a lot of cohesion. There's a lot of working together. Working at Big Brothers and Big Sisters, we're part of a Knoxville area mentoring initiative, and so it's organizations throughout Knoxville working together to share programming, to share best practices, to make sure that we're serving the community in the best way we can. And I think that, we've seen other communities that maybe don't do that as well. And so being back in Knoxville and seeing how people work together, how people build each other up, it's really appreciated. I think that the other thing I really enjoy about Knoxville is you can get to know so many different types of people because the community is so cohesive. And so working for a nonprofit, I've had a great opportunity to just get to know a lot of people, which is for us, it makes us feel so connected to this community in such a more deep way than we have with other places we've lived.
Okay. What do you think the future holds for the city?
Wow, that's broad.
Oh.
What do you think?
Well,
do you want to go first?
I think where we live in the Fourth and Go area, I'm seeing North Knoxville just continue to build up and build up and build up. And, kind of branding ourselves as this maker city. You're seeing more like creative, like collaborative spaces opening up, which has been really cool. And I think that trend will continue. Downtown continues to change and, different businesses coming in, people really getting to flex their kind of like creative muscles and take a chance downtown, which is always exciting.
Yeah, I think that I think that one of the beauties of where Knoxville is now is that Knoxville to me has figured out what it is. And so we know people embrace the scruffy city. They embrace the fact that we're a maker city and we're not trying to be something else.
Right.
And so what I see the future of Knoxville, what I hope the future of Knoxville is that we continue to focus on the things that we are and not try to be something we're not. And we're doing a wonderful job of that. And I think that as we do that, we'll continue to have, food truck parks and cool breweries and music venues that really speak to us. I mean, we're not Nashville, we're not Asheville, and we don't have to be. And so I think that what I see as the future of Knoxville is us continuing to sort of embrace what we are. And that's been the beauty of us being back in Knoxville, in that there's something so uniquely Knoxville, which in the pressure of being on this podcast, I can't exactly articulate, but there's something that's very uniquely Knoxville. And I think that if you live here, you know it, you get it. And I think that Knoxville is finally getting it. And I love that about Knoxville.
And people are starting to know what Knoxville is. So like, I remember when we first moved away, like we were like, oh, Knoxville, is that near Gatlinburg? Strangely, everyone knows about Gatlinburg. I had no idea. Yeah, in Dollywood. But I feel like nowadays, like we've talked about, there'd be people that be like, oh yeah, I visited Knoxville before. Oh yeah, I've thought about moving there before. And I'm like, we're really making a name for ourselves here.
I was sitting in a restaurant in Cleveland and
which Cleveland? It's important.
Ohio.
Okay.
And sitting at the bar eating, and the guy heard my accent, which I can't hear my accent, but because I'm used to people around here. But he was like, "Where are you from?" I said, "Knoxville." He's like, "Oh, my band played there in 2003," and he started telling me like where. I was like, "Yeah, did you play?" He was like, "I can't remember the name of the venue." I was like, "Was it this?" He's like, "Yeah, that was it." How'd you know? I was like, "Dude, don't worry about it." but yeah, it's interesting hearing people now know, and I think it's more we're getting broader coverage too. We're getting written up in Washington Post, New York Times about being a great place to come. Was it GQ or one of those magazines wrote a big article about the restaurant scene here? Garden and Gun has started talking about us more.
My caution for Knoxville, and the thing that I hope is that downtown continues to be a place that supports local businesses and local ideas. Right. And so I hope that will continue. I hope we don't get, I'm doing air quotes, but too cool. I think that Knoxville, like I said, it's so unique. There's so much potential, and I just want to make sure we keep that uniqueness to us, and that we keep supporting local makers, local doers, local ideas.
On that note, where can people follow the nonprofits that you all work for? Instagram or website, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, so the Alzheimer's Association's national office is on all those places, at Alz Association.
And East Tennessee, too.
Yeah, and then our regional office here in Knoxville is also on Facebook. And then River and Rail Theater Company is on Instagram, is on Twitter, and Facebook. So
Big Brothers Big Sisters is we have a website where you can find out more about mentoring.
And that is?
It's tennesseebig.org.
There you go.
So that's where people can go to find out more about mentoring. Before I get to the social media part, well, we definitely always need mentors. And so this is more of a shameless plug, I guess. There are currently nearly 100 children on our what we call waiting list who need a big brother or big sister. And so we can make that happen through donations, through support, and then through people signing up to become bigs. And Knoxville is an incredibly supportive place. And I think that we can definitely make it happen for those kids who need a big brother or big sister. So to find out more information, you can go to tennesseebig.org. And then we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We definitely share information on children who are waiting for a big brother or big sister. We share photos and stories of children who are matched with a big brother or big sister, and they're not just heartwarming. I think they show the transformation that a caring adult mentor can have on a child. And it's not just a transformation on the life of one child. It really does transform the community. So I would encourage folks to go to our website, but also to follow us on social media.
Okay. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.